Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, whatever time it is for you. I'm Cyclone. It's time for more Let's Play Train Simulator Classic. I have no idea why this is the hardest difficulty rating. I mean, the first half of that scenario going down from London to Garden City seemed easy. I don't know what's so hard about Garden City back up. Why is this marked as a 5 or 4, whatever you call it, difficulty? Why is that the hardest scenario in the pack? Those questions remain to be answered. But I see two of my contacts have gotten 1,000 on this, so I assume it's not actually that hard. Let's get started. Good afternoon, driver. You are currently at Welwyn Garden City Station waiting for your booked departure time to leave for London King's Cross. You will be calling at all station stops along the way. Start by collecting your passengers and then wait for your pre-booked departure time. Click close to continue. Okay, doors are open. Reverser should be set now. I think you actually have to hold the reverser down quite a bit to get it to set properly, because if you don't hold it down long enough, you notice it moves back to the other direction. So I noticed this in a earlier take in this route, that you have to actually hold the reverser down for a little bit if you want it to move. Otherwise, it will trigger right back where it was, and you might wonder why you're not going. Oh, one thing I don't think I mentioned, there is a driver, a DRA, that's there to stop you from, so you're supposed to use that when you know there's a red signal ahead or even a yellow signal. As you can see, I typically don't use it. If I was on the actual railway, I would have to use that if I know there's a yellow or red signal ahead, or if I don't know what the signal aspect is. Say I had a yellow coming into a station. So that's the service to Peterborough going away in the high-speed lanes. We're going to start pulling away. Get lost. Irrelevant text. You're pulling away at 25 miles per hour. There is a 35 on the flyover. We're going to have to manage our speeds on the flyover because we are going to have to push our way up this flyover. Once we get to the top of the flyover, we're going to start entering 35. So brakes aren't really going to be too necessary, but there is a possibility we could lose a little bit of speed on the flyover. So we're going to try to maintain 25 as we go up. Hopefully we are fully inside the 35 when we get to the other end, but there's no guarantee we're going to be. We're going to find out. We are a 4-car train. We are good. We can go to 35 now. So I'm going to let the speed go up a little bit more here. But because we are on a very heavy downhill, I'm going to let the train speed itself up here. At least to 35. Our sunflower is still lit because we haven't actually seen a green signal anywhere yet. I caught that speed change just in time. I almost sped. So now we can go up to 40. Our sunflower did clear. You heard the ping there. I didn't get a chance to comment on that because I got distracted. Now we go 75, so up we go. There is Hatfield coming up. I'm cutting off my throttle now so I don't speed, but I'm going to have to worry about slowing down in just a moment as well. There's a service I didn't get a chance to get the information on. So we're now within 3/4 of a mile. We have a full minute to make our stop, so I assume given we're coming in fast, we should be okay here. We are going to have to start slowing down now though, so I have put a level 1 brake or step 1 brake application. I'm going to bump into a step 2. And we'll judge as we get closer. Yeah, this might be necessary. It might be necessary to keep this brake applied. I might need to go to full service. In fact, I will go to full service. Now I'm going to ease it back to step 2 and back to step 1 for a moment as we enter the platform. Okay, keep going for a moment, and then we're going to come into full service. Here we go. Of course, we're not going to go into the emergency notch, which if you do accidentally tap into emergency, you are locked into emergency. You have to keep the emergency brake on at that point. There's a service from WLW to King's Cross. I do not know where WLW is. I thought it might be Woolston, but that's WLS. So maybe I'll get information on that and I'll add it later. Arrival at Hatfield. You're going to get that message every stop. I'm not going to read that every time. So leaving Hatfield, our next stop is Welham Green. Since we're on this side of the railway, we're going to be stopping, of course, at platform number 1. I think I got my platform indications wrong last time. I said 3 and 4 served the slow lines. It looks like 1 and 4 serve the slow lines. We have a green. There's a yellow somewhere up ahead, though, for the high-speed line. So 2 and 3 in the middle will serve the high-speed lines naturally by that process of elimination. Easing the throttle off a little bit. As I'm doing this drive, I'm trying to look up WLW, and I don't know who that is because it was too fast for me. I didn't want to brake yet. I broke a little early there. So we're going to do it about half a mile out. We're going to start braking. Step 1 brake. I'll worry about my braking in. After this station stop, I'll see if I can get you information on what WLW is. I really want to know that. I will not be able to sleep at night until I know. In fact, I'm not sleeping well at night as it is sometimes, but that's a different story. So I'm just finagling the brakes to get down to 30 by the time we enter the platform, or at least close to it. That's good enough. I can go into full service brake now and come to a stop. There we go. A little early too, I like that. Arrival at Welham Green, platform 1. That can go away. Leaving Welham Green, our next stop is Brookman's Park. We are going to be entering a 55 mile per hour segment up ahead. I knew that sounded wrong. My search for what WLW is continues. I found WWL, which is Whitwell in Derbyshire. That sounds like the wrong area, so I'm going to assume that's not where it's coming from. But I'm wondering now if Woolston might have changed its code, because I'm not finding WLW on my list, which is very, very mystifying. There you go, ladies and gentlemen. The theme of this scenario is, what is WLW? If anyone has information, please feel free to post it. I'm going to get ready to stop here in the meantime at Brookman's Park, platform 1. So applying step 1 brake and move to a step 2. We're going to judge when we need to go to a full service brake to bring the speed down a little quicker. In fact, I don't need to. I was a little early, so I'm going to stay on step 1 brake for right now because I was too early. In fact, I'm going to ease off for a moment because I was way too early. Now we're going to put a step 2 brake and we're going to up it up to a full service now. In fact, I might have been a little slow doing that because I might overshoot now, but I am slowing down. I might still be on the platform. It's a little deceiving, but I think I have overshot slightly. Oh well. Brookman's Park, platform 1. Go away. Leaving Brookman's Park, our next stop is Potter's Bar. Leaving at a 55-mile-per-hour speed limit. Brookman's Park is unique in that aspect that we have a 55 stopping at that station. So I've got my throttle moved up to max. We can now go up to 75 miles per hour. And our journey continues. We are reaching our speed limit here. In fact, I just hit 75 now. So I'm going to go ahead and coast because I'm going to have to start slowing down in a moment anyway. Since we got up to full speed, I'm going to use half a mile out as a basis. I'm going to put a step 2 brake on right now. Looks like the high speed lines are getting a warning for a lower speed limit. We'll drive them in the future. We'll see that sometime. As you can see, I put my brakes down to a step 1 because I was coming off very nicely. I'm about to enter the station nearing the 30-mile-per-hour entry speed I like to go for. Moving to a step 2 brake and also to a full service brake at this point. Because I should be able to bring the train to a stop safely at this stage. I am very early, by the way, half a minute early right now. So this is actually a really good situation when you're driving. I didn't quite go the 4-car stop, you can see up ahead, but that's fine. Arrival at Potter's Bar, platform number 1. Leaving Potter's Bar, our next stop is Hadley Wood. We are 2 miles away from Hadley Wood, so we are going to get some more ability to go at full speed here. We do have a 65-mile-per-hour section coming up, though. I actually don't remember that going in the other direction, so I'm a little surprised by that. But there is a 75 right after it. Hello? What are you doing passing me? You're going faster than me. That seems illegal. He's on the high-speed line, though. So Peterborough to King's Cross service. Apparently that is another train just like mine on the high-speed line, not an HST. I guess our trains can use that line as well. I don't know. Must be. That was again a... well, it's off in the distance now. Who cares? We're not going to really have time to get up to the 75 speed limit here, so we're going to just manage the 65 for a little longer. We basically go up a smidge, but that's about it. Because now we're half a mile out, and we have a little bit longer this time, so I'm going to go into step 2 now. Easing off to step 1 for a moment, because I think I am coming in a little slowly again. I'm still going to be early, but don't want to come off too quickly. I think I'm exactly where I want to be right now. This is almost perfect. I could have been going a tad slower at this point. So we're going to put a step 2 brake on now to help with that. Now full service. Going to ease it back to a step 2 and a step 1 for a moment as I look for the 4-car stop. I didn't see it, so I'm just going to come to a stop here and we're going to call it there. So arrival at Hadley Wood, platform number 1. Leaving Hadley Wood, our next stop is New Barnet. I think those doors at Hadley Wood would have a watch your step sign. That's quite a step up from the platform. New Barnet is going to represent the halfway point in our journey today. In terms of the amount of points anyway, it's technically technically the space between New Barnet and our next stop at Oakleigh Park, I believe that is actually the halfway point, somewhere between that. But in terms of points, because we had the stop at our starting point, this is our halfway station. Our halfway passenger pickup. I applied the brake a little early, so I stayed in a step 1 because of that. I'm going to move now to a step 2, however. I didn't check that train, but I assume it's going to Peterborough or somewhere like that. I'm coming off a little too nicely, so I'm going to ease off the brakes there. I'm going to put them back on now as a step 1. That's where I want to be. We're going to apply a full service brake now. That will let us come to a stop at New Barnet. So I've got the braking pattern of the 365 figured out. And I think I've got that to the point that I can make it almost any stop on time now. So we should be good for our stops going forward. So arrival at New Barnet, halfway through our journey. Leaving New Barnet, our next stop is Oakleigh Park. We're not going to get anywhere close to our full speed as we're already half a mile from the station. Trying to reach full speed is a good way to overshoot the station. So I moved to a step 1 brake. I'm going to pull off a step 2 for just a moment here. I can get down to 40 and I know my stopping pattern from 40. And I'm coming down way too quickly. So I've taken the brakes off here, and I'm going to just go ahead and coast at this stage. We're getting a warning for a speed drop, it looks like. No, no, it is for a speed drop. For us, it's a 70, but well, I should have been braking. That's bad. Yeah, for us, the speed drop is for a 70, so we typically don't really need to be warned for that, but any freight service would get a 40, so they get notified. Geez, after braking, I know this train, I'm now going to overshoot the platform. There you go, guys. Oh, a bit of a sloppy stop, but we get those once in a while. Arrival at Oakleigh Park. Leaving Oakleigh Park, our next stop is New Southgate. A little less than 2 miles to go to New Southgate. We have a 75-mile-per-hour speed limit. We have a 70 coming up, which we were rudely awakened to as we drove along. I haven't looked up the names of all these tunnels yet, but I will try and get that for you for a future journey. Let's go ahead and cut our speed now because we are at 70. There we go. We're going to go for a smidge past the half-a-mile point because we are not quite at the full 75 that I tested this at previously. So now we're going to start a step 2 brake. You can see up ahead there is going to be a 60 speed limit coming up as well. Okay, moving to a step 1 brake at this stage. In fact, I'm going to take it off for a moment. Another train going by, didn't have a chance to see who that was. And I didn't go down at the pace I wanted to, so I'm moving to a step 2 brake and back to a step 1. In fact, I need a step 2 again. So we're going to do that. Coming in a little fast now after that delay. I've eased off to a step 1 now. As I enter the platform, now I can do the full service brake, and that should bring me to a stop roughly in the middle of the platform as planned. That's the reason why we jiggle the brake, or at least why I jiggle the brake like I do. You can see the sign for New Southgate there in the window. I took a little more time coming to a stop that time, but we have arrived at New Southgate, platform number 1. Leaving New Southgate. The Hertford Loop line is about to rejoin us, and then our next stop will be Alexandra Palace right after that. Quick review of our itinerary. You're going to see that we have that as our next stop. We have Hornsey following that, Haringay, Finsbury Park, and then King's Cross itself, 6 miles from our present heading. I'm going to cut the throttle now. In fact, I'm going to go back to a level 1 because I didn't quite reach the speed limit. I don't really need to, but I'll do it because I'm still far enough away from the station. So now I'll idle the throttle. think about 4/10 of a mile from the station is when I'm going to go ahead and hit the brakes at 60. That seems to be a good pace at that stage. It's going to be a small brake until I need the stronger brakes. So here we go now. Actually, that was a step 2. I wanted a step 1. Now I want a step 2 brake. I'm going to ease it off now because I'm coming in too slowly at this point. But now I'm going to go ahead and try to maintain a pace similar to this. I think I'm at a good pace for slowing down right now. So we're going to keep this up. Yep, this is going well. I can actually go a little bit further in on step 1 here, and then I'll put the full service brake on. Like that. As you can see, I am nice and early for the stop once again. And doors are open at Alexandra Palace, Platform 1. The Hertford Loop has rejoined us. Leaving Alexandra Palace. Our next stop is Hornsey. Our next train is going by. Edinburgh. Oh, that's all the way from Edinburgh to King's Cross. Yeah, that's the full East Coast main line. So that, ladies and gentlemen, is a trek right there. That is quite a trek. Also a very expensive train ride if you're getting a ticket, so keep that in mind. Although I just looked up Alexandra Palace, apparently it was once known as Wood Green. Way back in 1859 when it first opened, it was known as Wood Green. So a little bit of trivia on that station. I don't know if there actually is a palace nearby. I tried to look that up very quickly, but I don't have that information readily on hand, so I can't tell you. I'm slowing down a little too quickly here, I just realized. I read the distance wrong, so taking my throttle off, I'm going to start reapplying the brakes now, or taking the brakes off rather, start reapplying them now. I'm not coming in at the right pace, so down to a step 2 for a moment. Rather, up to a step 2, whatever you want to call it. And I came in right at 30, so I'm going to move to a full service. I just did not want to take, so I might overshoot because I did not want to take for some reason. Also might be just on. You see a yellow on the high-speed lines, by the way. Arrival at Hornsey, Platform 1. Leaving Hornsey, our next stop is Haringay. And another train going by, which I didn't get the name of. But our next stops after this will be Finsbury Park and then London King's Cross. Haringay is fairly close, so we're not going to go up to a high speed here. We're just going to get high enough that we can hit the brakes and come straight to a stop again. By my calculations, I think about 50 is about as high as I want to go. I'm going to do a small step 1 brake at this point to help manage our speed. Probably could have gone a little bit further before hitting the brakes there, but we'll take it. I'm going to go ahead and do a step 2 and now a full service brake. I was just barely on the platform last time. I should have lots of space this time. You are a King's Cross service again. CBW. Not sure offhand what that is either, but I don't really have a lot of opportunity to look this one up, so I'm just going to let that one be. Arrival at Haringay, Platform 1. Haringay. Our next stop is Finsbury Park. I am at full throttle, so I can't really do much more to increase my speed, but again, we're going to be half a mile out from the station shortly, so we're definitely not going to get to our full 60 speed limit. Going to get a little closer to the previous one, that's for sure. So now we definitely need to go ahead and do a slowdown here, starting with a step 1 brake application, as you may see. And that seems to be exactly where I need to be right now, so I might just leave it there. That seems really good. I'll actually take it off for a second. This is a longer platform, so I do want to plan my full stop, my full service stop properly here, and that's what I'm trying to do now. I can actually pull up a little further here because I think the stop that I'm looking for is a little further up. So I'm trying to coast in. How much time do I have? Nope, need a stop. Let's just stop. Arrival at Finsbury Park, platform 1. Leaving Finsbury Park. Our final stop is King's Cross, London King's Cross. It seems today we are destined to stop at platform number 9. We still have about 2 miles to go to get to King's Cross, as we will be having another line jutting across, or jutting away from us rather. That is the line that goes to Moorgate, and there it goes off to the left. Moorgate, of course, does not represent our DLC, but the next station from this point, which is Drayton Park, is represented as part of this route. We're going to slow down to the 45 that's coming up here. It's coming to King's Cross. You can expect we're going to have to slow down. This is a terminal station. We are taking the Finsbury Park Junction on the up slow line at this time, as you can see. I didn't need to go down to 45 yet, so that might actually hurt me. I am working from a save game though, so I should, like, I do have one saved. I didn't actually use it yet, so I should be able to go back to it if I need to. That's fine, but if you're hearing this, I probably didn't need to. There is that little funny aspect of it. We have a little bit of an uphill followed by a downhill stretch as we pull into the Gasworks Tunnel Line C. So we're now taking the Holloway up slow. Not sure how we had a downhill gradient there, but we apparently did. Interesting. As you can see, we seem to have split off from the rest of the railway here, so I'm going to put a small throttle on to maintain enough speed on this section before we do the brakes. And now we're hitting the downhill, and it's a steep enough downhill that I'm putting the brakes on a little early. So 1 in 50 now, shallowing out slightly. 1 in 60 is our downhill gradient at this time. Brakes are at a much, the downhill gradient is a much friendlier one for getting close to the speed limit, so I can actually hit 45 now without worrying too much. But I also need to slow down to 15, which is now 4/10 of a mile away, so I'm going to plan for the slow down to 15 at this stage. That seems the most appropriate thing to do. There's the warning for it. We also have a yellow signal. Just in case there's any kind of thing that triggers an emergency on us, I'm going to go ahead and slow down a little quicker to 15. Easing off the brakes for a moment. And I'm losing time, so that's not good. When I'm losing time, that means I slowed down too early. Again, like I said, I don't know if there's something else happening that's going to cause an emergency brake. So, we're down to 15 now. You can hear another train going by. We don't know who it is. And there was no point bringing up the label because you wouldn't have seen him anyway. I mean, does that tell you much? There's trains ahead of us. You just don't know where they are. Actually, that's one coming towards us. We can look at that one. That is the King's Cross to FPK. Is that on our route? I don't know. I haven't been there yet. So 15 is our speed limit coming in. I'm going to go ahead and bring the speed down to 12 just to try to avoid triggering an emergency brake panel. I mean, we can afford it if it happens, but I'd rather not do that. So you have about a full 45 seconds to pull into the line here and come to the buffer at the end. I'm going to try and get as close as I dare, but I don't think that's going to be a problem. I can actually put a brake on right now because I'm coming up very, very quickly to that buffer. You can see some marks on the ground. I think this is meant to stop us from speeding too quickly into the buffer. It would have already had a panel trigger if we were above 15, and those will trigger if we if we're going too quickly up to the buffer, I believe. So we're going to pull all the way up to this buffer, and this should do nicely. That's good enough. So we're going to open the doors at King's Cross, London King's Cross, platform number 9. Journey over. Let's look at the train. So we'll go ahead and turn the headlights off, and another driver will take over at the other end of the train to finish the journey to start a new journey to wherever he needs to go, probably back to Welwyn Garden City, because it seems to be the designated trade for that. In the meantime, we're going to have more scenarios next time. You're going to notice the scenario numbering in the game is not the scenario order in the manual. Excuse me. So I don't know what the next scenario is going to be offhand. But let's go to the menu screen right now. We're going to go ahead and see how our score ended up. We should have gotten a good score here, so let's take a look. I do not know what that exclamation mark icon is. I want to know now. The first thing I know that I unlocked is the East Coast Mainline South Hitchin from London scenario. So you can see that I've gotten that. And that is not a problem. That appears to be a situation where we just had to get this scenario ended. But this other one just surprised me when it came up on the corner of my screen just now. Apparently this is part of the Easter Extreme Challenge Perfect Score challenge. And this is stage 2 of that. I don't know any other information, but I'm assuming that the hidden achievements that were at the bottom of my screen on this list are probably related to that challenge. No, I lied. That's not a hidden achievement. I still have 4 hidden achievements there. So, yeah. So this Easter Extreme Challenge, I'm going to have to look up more information on this because completing scenario Welwyn Garden City back up to London with a perfect score completes stage 2 of the challenge. I don't know how many stages this challenge has, but now I'm tempted to go look up the other scenarios in that challenge so we can go ahead and introduce those routes and see if we can complete the rest of those perfect score challenges. So it's actually kind of funny that came up. I never expected that. That's kind of neat. If I had a slightly below perfect score, I would never have known that was there, and I wouldn't even be interested in that right now. But now I'm interested, so I'm going to look that up in the future, and I may have more details on that next time we play on this route. You can see that I had no problems with timing this, so I would have had the full 1,008 if it was available. Obviously, we get 64 at the last stop because we can't get those last 8 points. It's not possible. So, yeah, we're going to come back next time for scenario number 5. I believe it was a 75-minute scenario. I'm not 100% sure, but I think that was the time I saw on it. If I am right on that, that means we probably have a Peterborough southbound stopper, which is longer than, obviously, what we just did right now. And I know there's also an 80-minute scenario, which I think is the 7th. Ignoring my iPad, it just made noises. There's also the 7th scenario, which I believe is an 80-minute scenario. Actually, no, that's the HST one. And that's the one I'm looking at, is an HST. So that is an 80-minute scenario to Peterborough. And there's another 80-minute scenario, which I believe is somewhere in the list as well, the staff train. So it's a staff train apparently going to from Peterborough to King's Cross. So those are the really long scenarios. We do still have In a Hurry and one other scenario, which I'm trying to find, North to Hitchin. So those are the other 2 shorter scenarios we have. But the rest of the scenarios appear to be the full Peterborough journey. So I think we're going to get one of those Peterborough journeys next time. Stay tuned for that. That will be up on the playlist if you have my playlist up in a moment, assuming it's already published by that point. Other than that, we're done 2 main scenarios out of the 7 in this pack. We're now going into... should be Saturday that you're seeing this, unless I started this on a Tuesday or Wednesday, but it should be Saturday at the time you're seeing this. As you can tell, I'm filming ahead. So the next scenario will probably be on Tuesday in this case, in which case you're going to see scenario number 5 on that. Then I'll move to scenario number 6 probably on Wednesday. I'll probably do 7, 8, and 9 all on the Thursday, Friday, Tuesday. I'll take Wednesday off again or do something else. And then we'll go ahead and probably change routes for a while after that. But I'm giving you a little bit of a heads up. We're not doing the 801 scenarios yet. I do want to do them, but not immediately because I have other things I need to show off. My current plan is to possibly get this out in December, by December, and then go into some Christmas content. So I need to take the 801 and do it later in order to give myself some room to do my Christmas content. So we'll see what happens here. In the meantime, though, yeah, that extreme challenge scenario, I did not know that was one of them. So I'm actually quite happy to have found that. That's kind of neat now. Other than that, have a wonderful day, every night, whatever it is for your part of the world. I'll tell you more about that next time. Like the video, subscribe to the channel. The next video will start in 3, 2, 1.